Welcome to our fall fundraiser. Just before we start, and to let you know that everything that you see, all the projects, the initiatives and the work that the Cheetah Conservation Fund does is made possible through donations and the support of our donors and subscribers. Please watch out for the links in the video, and there you can learn how you can be part of the team that helps to keep the wild truly wild. We all really hope you enjoy our presentation. Hello, and a very warm welcome to this very special edition of Cheetah TV. This is all about keeping the wild wild, and the ins and outs and the mechanics of the Cheetah Conservation Fund that enable us to do that. So we're going to be covering various aspects of CCF and being joined by some very, very special guests. Now we're going to be covering areas such as human-wildlife conflict, the illegal wildlife trade, our scat detecting dogs, livestock guarding dogs, our brand new farm, the facilities at CCF, the list goes on and on. So I hope you can join us until the end. But without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to our founder and executive director, Dr. Laurie Marker.
Hi, I'm Dr. Laurie Marker, and I'm the founder and executive director of the Cheetah Conservation Fund. I set up the Cheetah Conservation Fund back in 1990 because I couldn't find anyone in the world who wanted to help save the cheetah. I started working with cheetahs in the early 70s at a wildlife park in Oregon. And cheetahs were my focus, and I learned a lot about the cheetah, but I also found out that few people in the world knew anything about the cheetah, and they kept saying to me, when you find out something more about the cheetah, let us know. And from that, I've tried for years to study every aspect of the cheetah, from its biology, its overall health, its genetics, to how it lives in the ecosystem and the ecology. And those are all what our programs here at the Cheetah Conservation Fund are about. So I moved here to Namibia in 1991 and set up the foundation. In 1994, we got the farm that we're on here now. And from here, our base, our research and education center, we've expanded and grown what our mission is and what our vision is. And our vision is to see a world in where cheetahs can live in harmony with people and the ecosystem. And our job is to make that work. So one of our mottos is save the cheetah, change the world. And we do that through our Future Farmer of Africa training program. We do that through our livestock guarding dogs. We do our research through the use of our Scat Detection dogs, our genetics lab, our veterinary clinic to understand not only the overall health of the cheetah, but understanding the health of the livestock. And the livestock is really the basis of Africa and the people that we're working with who are killing the cheetah. And trying to understand more about how to help them has been a big part of the work that Cheetah Conservation Fund does in our conservation programs. Our training programs and our school programs, Future Conservationists of Africa. We work with thousands of school children each year. We go to the schools, we bring the schools to us, where we've developed our great programs here. Or the kids join us on game counts. They go into the genetics lab. They learn about what it's like to be a veterinarian, or what it's like to actually take care of livestock, where we've got our model farm and our dairy, where we have added livelihoods, like making cheeses, fudge, soap. It's all great, but all of this is actually to help develop a program for many, many, many people, not just us, to help save the cheetah for future generations. So starting with a vision of wanting to stop the killing of the cheetah, we've had to learn all of these different things about the cheetah and put all these programs together. We've got a wonderful staff of people. We're working throughout the whole cheetah's range by training people from many of these other countries, bringing them through here in training programs so that they can help develop programs similar. Our other foundation here in the country, in the continent, has been now in Somaliland, where we have stopped the illegal wildlife trade. But here we're developing a center similar to that here in the Horn of Africa. I didn't know that we were going to be doing that 30 years ago, but there we are, developing programs very similar, Future Farmers of Africa, stopping the human-wildlife conflict, helping livelihoods develop, education of children. And that's really what the future is for the cheetah, for many of the different species. This is an integrated system and we're a part of it as people. So the Cheetah Conservation Fund is bigger than the cheetah. It's about making a place on Earth where this wonderful species can live and that we can live in harmony together.
Thanks, Laurie. And we'll be back with Dr. Marker in just a little while. Now, we talk about the education program, so I want to give you a bit of a look and a bit of an explanation about Camp Lightfoot, our residential education centre at CCF Centre in Namibia. Let's take a look. So I'm out here at Camp Lightfoot at CCF Centre, just outside Otjiwarongo in Namibia. And joining me is Aniki Siaya, who's the education manager here. So Aniki, why don't you tell us a little bit about Lightfoot?
Sure. So this is our Camp Lightfoot. This is where we host our international and local groups. For our local groups, they participate in our program, which is called Future Conservationists of Africa. At Lightfoot, we are able to host overnight groups. We have lots of groups coming in for day visits, but with Lightfoot Camp, we are able to host groups for more than just a day.
So how many typically can you accommodate at Camp Lightfoot?
So in the past, we were able to accommodate 25 students. Since last year, we've added 4 new cabins and we are able to accommodate now a total of 33 students.
33?
Yeah.
And I'm guessing the hope is to add a couple more maybe to get it up. What would be your magical number?
Absolutely. So our magical number would be 40 because that is the average number of students in a Namibian classroom. So if we can accommodate an entire classroom, that would be amazing because as of now, students have to be picked from various classes to come and join our programming. But if we can take a whole complete class, that would be amazing.
So what would you say the main advantages of a class coming out here and staying as opposed to just a day visit?
So with an overnight visit, really, students can put into perspective everything that we teach them about cheetahs, about wildlife, about ecosystems, because Camp Lightfoot is basically in the wild. And we are not just preaching and talking about coexistence being possible with humans, but we are also showing them that, coexistence is possible if you put the necessary precautionary measures in place, which is what we do here at Cheetah Conservation Fund. And just them being in the environment where the, predators are, and wildlife is everywhere, it's just a wonderful opportunity really for them to also connect with the environment and the natural environment.
So just behind us is a couple of the original cabins.
Yes.
And I know way back it used to be tents as well, but they've come up. So they're kind of like almost like mini dorms for the kids. So they're not kind of on their own out here. They're in kind of small groups, and then they come together.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's go and have a look at some of the living conditions at Camp Lightfoot.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So now we come over to some of the living quarters, if you like, where everything, all the meals and everything are done communal. Is that right?
Absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned that, they have to, live in groups because when they come here, they also have to learn about teamwork. And this setting is perfect for teamwork. They have to cook and prepare their meals in teams. They have to contribute to cleaning, and just working together as a team. And so what we have here is the kitchen up there, fully functional kitchen. Groups are able to prepare their own meals. And then we have here where they can sit and have their meals. If they would like a braai or a barbecue, for those who don't know what a braai is, they can absolutely do a braai over there. And so really, this facility is made for groups to experience what it is to live together in nature and with wildlife and the natural environment.
Yeah, and it's really important that they kind of are exposed to the real world, whereas nature's great, but the living conditions and like you said, teamwork and responsibility is all a life lesson as well.
Absolutely.
So you've got and over the back we've got toilet and showering and bits and pieces like that.
Yeah.
So you know, over the years, have you seen you know, that positive reaction of kids maybe changing in front of your eyes because they've been exposed to that type of thing?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I myself grew up coming to Cheetah Conservation Fund. Lightfoot is not what it used to be when I was young and we would come to Cheetah Conservation Fund. We still very much had tents. But really one of the things that I learned here is that you have to work basically for everything. For example, we had donkeys. A donkey is basically a water heating system. So you have to gather your firewood, you have to heat this water, and you have to be sure to take, you know, maybe a 1 minute or 2 minute shower, because if you take a longer shower, you know, your friends are not going to have hot water. So those are just some of the lessons also that we teach, you know, young people that come here and use our facilities here. You know, it's not just about wildlife conservation, but it's also living sustainably.
But the way that this is developed and the way that the capacity building is going, you know, with the new cabins, with a new kitchen, you know, it's not the ultimate of luxury, but it makes the learning experience a lot more achievable.
Absolutely.
Would you agree?
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. I mean, environmental education, I mean, we are cheetah conservation, and environmental education, it is not just about conserving cheetahs. I mean, it's all this, you know, living sustainably, really just conserving everything, whether it is water, you know, you are conscious about, you know, your waste, renewable energy. I mean, our system here at Cheetah Conservation Fund is partly powered by solar energy. And so really teaching about all these components coming together, that, you know, conservation is a lifestyle. It's not just something that you do and you are like, you know, I did my part.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lifestyle. You talk it, you live it, you breathe it, and this is basically what we try to teach here at Cheetah Conservation Fund. And when, you know, people and groups come here and visit our camp.
And it's so much more than just about the cheetah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, Anneke, it's a fantastic, you know, the way that it's developed, and I know that you've got hopes and dreams and wishes to increase it and make it even better. So we wish you luck with that, and we'll do everything we can to support you. So Anneke and all your team, thanks very much for all you do.
Thank you so much, Brian.
Well, I hope that tells you a little bit more about our education program out in Namibia. I'm going to hand you back over to Dr. Laurie Marker to explain a little bit about CCS programs and CCF in general.
We're the largest global organization dealing with cheetah conservation based from here. We work from a variety of levels, from the basic biology and ecology of the cheetah to understanding communities and human-wildlife conflict and how to stop illegal wildlife trade. And with your support, we've done an awful lot. I want to tell you today a little bit more about some of our programs on the ground that we are working towards trying to help save the cheetah. The problem for the cheetah is that most of the populations are found outside of protected areas, and that's why our program focuses so much on people. On the lands, they're living with farmers, livestock, little wildlife in some areas, more wildlife in other areas like Namibia. And that's why our Namibian model is so important, to try to address this conflict for the cheetah in other ranges. One of our large programs here in Namibia really deals with the ecological research of understanding the whole system that cheetahs live within. That's the farming system, it's the wildlife system, it's the habitat that they're living on. And much of what we do are things like game counts to try to find out more about the trends of our wildlife. We've been doing this for now over 27 years since we've been based here on our farm called Elandsfrikte. And from that, we also do a lot of studies with camera traps to try to understand more about the cheetahs and leopards that are coming through and other predators. We've got a great team of interns and students that work directly with us and our ecological staff. Then we also work out in what are called the Eastern Communal Lands. And that's where we've expanded our camera trap program, as well as working with our Scat Detection dogs. There we actually collect samples of scat and we bring them back to our center here, where they go to our genetics laboratory. Tim Hoffman, who's our PhD student, is going to tell you more about how we use the Scat Detection dogs for the work that we're doing in the eastern communal lands.
This is Enya. Enya is our Scat Detection dog here at the Cheetah Conservation Fund. And Scat Detection is one of the different ways dogs can contribute in conservation. So I think the most common practices are what has been done for centuries is to protect your livestock, to use dogs for hunt, to use dogs for protection. But, thank you Enya, nowadays we are actually using dogs to collect scientific information, to almost use them as a research tool. And in this case, we are looking for scat. The reason we do that is because scat has a lot of information that is very valuable for us researchers. So we can look at an animal's diet, at an animal's genetics, hormones, presence, habitat use, and that's not even it. So there's a lot of things we can learn by finding animal scat. Unfortunately, it's quite difficult to find. The method is really nice. It's non-invasive. We don't need to catch the animal. We don't need to see the animal. We need nothing but collect the most easily accessible animal bite product. Just, in fact, it's actually not that easily available because there are few animals out there. We usually use this method for rare and elusive animals that are wide roaming, just like the cheetah. And this is why we're using the dogs. So the dog's nose is obviously a lot superior to ours. They can identify different smells, they can identify different scats just by the scent, and they are way superior when it's about finding them. So Enya here walks about at least twice, sometimes 3 times as much as I do, covers a lot more ground, sniffs way further than I could even see a scat from, and therefore increases the chance for us to find the rare cheetah scat. So when training a scat detection dog, of course, it's important that the dog knows how to search, that the dog knows how to efficiently search in an environment. And most dogs sort of bring a good repertoire of search strategies with them anyway. It's just their natural instinct. The only thing we have to do is sort of shape it to what we are looking for. And in the case of looking for scat, I like her to sort of go in front of me from left to right, almost like a windscreen wiper, increasing the search area that we are efficiently sampling. And then the other thing that's important is, of course, that the dog can communicate to me that what she found is cheetah scat. Because honestly, to me, every scat looks fairly similar. So we chose sitting. So what Enya is going to do when she finds a cheetah scat, she's going to sit down, patiently wait and look at me. Ideally, she shouldn't touch or even touch the scat with her nose. We don't want to have any saliva or any foreign DNA on the scat we are trying to analyze later. So you can choose any different kind of indication method. We chose sitting just because it's advantageous. You can see in the high bush, I can still see her, and she doesn't get lost.
To support the research that we're doing ecologically, we also use dogs in another way, and that is through our livestock guarding dog program, which helps through our Future Farmer of Africa program in looking at this human-wildlife conflict, where the predators are on the landscape with the livestock. There is wildlife on the land as well, and we use the livestock guarding dogs to help reduce the human-wildlife conflict. The dogs have been a great success, and Gephardt Nikor, who's been with us for over 20 years, is going to tell you more about how we place the dogs and the work that he does with the farming community through our Future Farmer of Africa program.
I see my role as kind of a middleman between the organization and the farmers, meaning that I'm kind of the link between the organization and the farmers, so therefore I see myself playing a very important role.
So Gebs, the livestock guarding dog program and the farmer training program is very well known at CCF, but sometimes the people don't understand how it actually works, how it works on the ground. You know, not here at CCF Centre, but out in the farms. What can you tell us about, you know, the program to kind of sum it up how it works?
I would say that it can only work when you have, when the CCF and the organization have good relations with the farmer, so that the farmer will do his best whenever problems are likely to arise when you train a dog to look after sheep or goats, no matter in terms of bad behavior or so. So yeah, so the human factor is very important. And then also for the farmer also to be willing to be patient, and also to be willing to make corrections whenever there's problems with a dog. But then also it's a matter of educating and also inform farmers in general that taking care of a livestock guarding dog should be part of taking care of his livestock management. Yeah, because he also take good care of, he tried to take good care of his livestock in terms of health and so on. So he should integrate the dog as part of that.
Do you feel that, you know, at CCF Centre we've got the model farm that farms, you know, cattle as well as the goats, the sheep, and we breed the dogs here. Do you think that the fact that we've got that model farm kind of makes a difference, or it makes it easier, or it gives us more credibility because we're practicing what we preach, as it were?
Yeah, it definitely helps, because a farmer can then come here and show and seeing how we do things, and then that can motivate the farmer then to set up a similar setup, put up a similar setup that can also work, because he sees how it's working. It's not just on paper, but he can see it with his own eyes how it's working. But what I find is that many farmers have a general idea of using livestock guarding dog, but they might lack the understanding between the condition of the dog, how important it is to have the dog to be in good condition, that then equals good performance in the field. Sometimes there's a lack that where you find that the walking dog, the livestock guarding dog, health and body condition is not great, and that can affect his performance. So I try to convince them to say when the dog is in good physical condition, he's likely to perform at his best. Meaning that when the dog is working at his best, then he can save the farmer money in terms of livestock not killed by predators.
So they'll just be more efficient. You know, it's like a tool. If you keep a tool sharp and you keep it clean,
yes,
and you keep it safe,
yeah,
then you're going to get a better job out of it.
Yeah.
And that's the same with the dogs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it's the same also with livestock. If the livestock, the sheep that the farmer is going to sell at an auction or so, it's in good physical condition, he's likely to get good top dollars for it.
Now you've learned a lot about our programs here in Namibia, and they've led to training communities and community workers throughout actually all the Cheetah Range countries. We're working in Somaliland right now, and there's also human-wildlife conflict, but that human-wildlife conflict is also leading to illegal wildlife trade, where the cheetahs are out and other predators catching livestock, and the rural communities don't know what to do, and what they've done is actually steal cheetah cubs and then tried to sell them, which is illegal in the country, against the law, and they're going into the Middle East. What we've been doing for a number of years now has been to try to understand more about why the trade is going and what we can do about it. And that's where, for the last couple years, we've been very, very active in Somaliland. Now, unfortunately, we have over 50 cheetahs that we're taking care of there. From that, the cheetahs have to have, you know, food and housing and staffing, and we don't want more cheetahs to come in. And we're so fortunate in the last 10 months we've not had cheetah come in. But that's because we've been so involved in a lot of the community-based work. We've done awareness campaigns, we've traveled through much of the region, we've put together the governments of Somaliland and Ethiopia for regional border. We've worked with veterinarians from both Somaliland as well as Ethiopia to teach them more about the care of not only cheetah cubs if they're confiscated, but to work with the farming community to reduce that conflict, that human-wildlife conflict that we're dealing with, which is driving the illegal wildlife trade. So much of the work that we're doing in Somaliland is being replicated actually from what we've done in Namibia. Although we have to tweak it and change it, but that's really what I've spent a lot of the last couple of years dealing with, is trying to save the cheetahs in the Horn of Africa. So our successes in the last couple of years in Somaliland have brought us forward to the point that the government is working so closely with us. We have over 50 cheetahs in Somaliland. They're in 3 safe houses. We've got a small veterinary clinic. But the government has given us a large piece of land to develop a sanctuary outside of the city. It's about an hour outside of the city in the bush. And we have a master plan that we are going to be starting to develop now. And from that, it'll be over 800 hectares with our cheetah facility, similar like here, and it'll be the start of a national park, the first national park in Somaliland. And we're looking not only at that, but at other areas that may eventually be national parks as well. And we want to keep cheetahs living free and in the wild. Working together with the Somaliland government and the Namibian government, we're making great strides. And together we think that communities can be the solution. And we are working on all of these communities throughout Namibia, Somaliland, through our Future Farmer of Africa program to save the cheetah in the wild for future generations.
So as you can see, there's really so much going on, and that's really only just a snapshot of some of the projects that we're involved with throughout the Cheetahs range. Now, it's not just the centre, the education centre or the research centre at CCF in Namibia. CCF is responsible for huge stretches of land, protected land, keeping it open, keeping it natural, keeping that balance of nature. And I want to give you a little bit of a first preview of our latest farm and how that's used and the importance of it. So let's take a look at that.
So this is Farm Achenga. It's the latest addition to the CCF area. So it's areas that are linked up. CCF is made up of a collection of 10 different farms. And as I said, this is the most recent acquisition. Primarily at the moment, it's a cattle farm. So it neighbours onto our farm that's called Binadar, which is a working cattle farm. But it's got lots of strategic importance. Obviously, behind us, there's a dwelling, and on the other side, which I'll show you in a second, you've got various farm buildings, which are very useful to house workers and research projects as well. Because we found in other CCF farms such as Cheetah View, we've kind of developed them into working field stations. So visiting universities can come in and do standalone research projects. As far as bush encroachment goes, this farm is quite heavily encroached, and the latest estimates are telling us that doing the bush harvest here would yield around 25 tonnes of bush block per hectare. That's how dense this bush has encroached, because it hasn't been touched for a long time. But also you've got the migration routes as well. There kind of used to be a little bit of a bottleneck that used to make it difficult for the animals to find their way through, especially if they was going to water holes that weren't on the straight line. So on this farm, and we'll drive out and hopefully show you, there's some natural water holes like dams, but also there's quite an efficient borehole as well that can supply water. And as populations increase and stuff like that, water is a very, very precious commodity. So that's another strategic reason why it was very important for us to obtain Achenga. It's not just a case of collecting farms far from it, because this is going to take a lot of work to keep the upkeep and keep it going. But strategically, it's incredibly important. Another reason why this is a strategic farm as far as CCF goes, and I mentioned about the migration routes, is when you come to this is one of the neighbours, and this is a game fence. So all the fences around on Achenga and on the vast majority of CCF land are all low cattle fences. And basically a low cattle fence, the only thing that's going to keep in is a cow. Everything else can go over it, go under it, or go through it. But these game fences, they keep the vast majority of larger mammals out. One or two can kind of burrow underneath maybe, but in general, it's a huge blockade, and it stops the migrations coming through. And that's why CCF, when we're talking about integrated farming or integrated landscapes, it means that the flow of wildlife can come between farms. They'll come and go, the same as predators, the same as prey, and they share the land with the livestock. That's historically what happens, and that's the balance of nature. But these fences here, you know, they do stop migration routes. And when I mentioned the kind of the bottleneck that these type of fences create, and they go on for miles, you know, that's why Achenga was so important to us, to keep this open, to keep the landscape as natural as we possibly can, and let the migration routes happen like they've happened for thousands of years.
Don't forget, you can find out lots of information about all the projects that you've seen today, plus many, many more, at our website at cheetah.org. Also there, you can find out ways that you can help, that you can support us, that you can get involved, that you can be part of CCF and help keep the wild truly wild. It just leaves me to hand back over to Dr. Laurie Marker. And in the meantime, thanks very, very much for watching. And I hope you've enjoyed it and learned a little bit more about CCF here on Cheetah TV. So over to you, Laurie.
As a friend of the cheetah, I want to thank you so much for your support of the Cheetah Conservation Fund. Your support allows us to do the work that we need to do. Our staffs are able to work with communities to make a place on the earth for cheetahs for future generations. Our research team are able to continue working to understand more about how the cheetah lives within the ecosystems. Our genetics team is able to understand more about the problems facing the cheetah as well, and how we, as people, you as a cheetah friend, are helping to make a future for the cheetah all together. Thank you.